Hello again, everybody. I thought I'd do something a little bit different today because I've more or less stopped on the motorbikes and the engine work and whatever else I've got going on. We're getting close to Christmas now, and I just thought I was talking with some friends the other day, and one of them was one of the ones involved years and years ago. Probably this would have taken place in, I don't know, the mid to late 1980s probably. In this area, I've lived around here for a long time, but in a different location a few miles away, and we were all regulars at a pub that's now long been closed, and it was called the Havard Bridge pub, and it was on the A482 road, the one out of our village towards Pimsaint and Lampeter. And this pub, we used to have a great time down there, and back then it wasn't quite the same regarding, you didn't necessarily worry too much if you perhaps had 3 or 4 pints and then rode your bike or drove your car home or whatever. It was pretty much the norm to do things like that back then. And we'd been down the pub, myself and a couple of mates, on our motorbikes, and we'd had a few drinks, and there was a caravan on land owned by the pub across the other side of the main road, and just as we were about to leave, the landlord's wife informed us that a guy who'd been living in a caravan across the road there, who had motorbikes, had recently left and hadn't paid the rent, and the caravan was empty, and there were various motorbike bits he'd left behind inside the caravan, and if we wanted to take a look and wanted to take anything in there that was any good to us, we were welcome to do so. And the caravan was open apparently, so we decided, yeah, we'll nip across the road and have a look. So we got to the caravan and went to open the door, and the door wouldn't open. It was locked, and they'd closed up in the pub because it was closing time, and we were left there over the road. I think we had a torch. We found a window at the one end of the caravan was open, so we decided that what we would do is we would hold the window open and help one of the bunch sort of get a bunk up and go in through the window and open the door, and we'd go in and have a look at and see what was there. Unfortunately though, things didn't quite go to plan, and as we tried to sort of hold the window open enough to get someone through it, the glass in the window broke. And it made quite a racket actually, but I didn't realise how much of a racket until sash window of the pub opened, and the landlord's wife was shouting out the window that we'd broken her caravan and she was going to call the police and blah 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 blah. So I said, well, don't call the police just yet, we'll fix it, we'll sort it, we'll put everything right. How are you going to do that? And I said, well, I know of a window. I said, by morning there'll be a unbroken window fitted where this broken one is, and everything will be all right again. So my friends said, well, where is this window you know of? And I said, well, there's an abandoned caravan on a remote farm a bit further up the valley from where I lived, and I'm sure that probably no one would miss the window, and it looked like it was the same sort of shape and size as the one that we'd accidentally broken. So I thought, well, all right, it's a bit naughty. It wasn't our property, this caravan, but no one was using it, and so it appeared, and no one would probably even know actually. So we decided what we would do to avoid drawing attention to ourselves. We would go up past where I used to live on the way back from the pub and into the forestry. And through the forestry, rather than riding up the tarmac lanes past a few farms and setting dogs barking and things like that, we could do a couple of miles into the forestry and come down to the boundary fence where the forestry finished, and this caravan was in the field just beyond the fence. And we'd go down there with some screwdrivers and stuff, get the window, take it back down to the Havard, fit it to the caravan, and in the morning Anne's caravan window would be all intact and we wouldn't be in any trouble. Great idea. So off we went with some tools and torches and things like that, and I think we were on two motorbikes, I think. I think we had one guy on the back of one of them, obviously to carry the window that we were going to get if we could get it. So two motorbikes. We went up to the forestry, parked near the boundary fence, walked across the field to the caravan. Great. The door was open. Let's go in and get this window. Except there was a problem. On this farm, there was a family of, I think there were 3 women and this one guy living with one of them. And this one guy was quite a sort of feisty, drunken Scotsman who liked to drink and liked to fight. And he was pretty handy, and you didn't sort of cross him unnecessarily. The problem was, he'd obviously been kicked out of the house by the women, which apparently happened from time to time when they had enough of him. And he actually got sent to sleep in this caravan. And he was in there. The door was open, and he was laying on a bed in there, snoring his head off, with an empty bottle of whiskey by the side of the bed. And more alarming than that, a 12-bore shotgun. So, what were we going to do? We had the tools, we were committed, we had to replace this window, and one of us had to go inside to actually open the window so that we could work to unscrew it and take it out. And to say that we were crapping ourselves is a bit of an understatement. In fact, I can't remember. It was so scary and the adrenaline was going so much, I can't even remember who went in the caravan. All I know is that someone did and opened the window, and then we were able to work from outside and unscrew the window and take it away. So luckily Jake just carried on snoring and sleeping. He was a tough old boy anyway, and the door was open on the caravan in any case, so I don't suppose him losing a window was going to do too much harm, and perhaps the women would let him back in the house the following night. But anyway, that was the scary bit. We took the window down to the Havard, offered it up to the caravan, and it was the right size, but would you believe it was the wrong shape? The window we broke was rectangular, but as it came down to the bottom corners, they were rounded. This one was perfectly square at the corners. So we had to go back to my place, get the glass out of the frame, get the pliers, and very carefully and gently I sort of crunched and chewed the glass to round off the corners to make it fit the frame of the other window. And I think, all in all, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, we had a window back in the caravan at the Havard Bridge, and went down later on to sort of check, and we were out of trouble. She wasn't going to call the police, but I often wondered whether Jake even realised when he woke up whether his window had gone, or whether he thought that perhaps it was never there at all, because he was usually, I think, pretty comatose when he got kicked out of the house with the women, so he probably may not have even known. And I think he probably drank enough whiskey to keep him warm that night. But that was a bit naughty, I know, but a true story. And as for the motorbike spares in the caravan, it turned out I think I got 2 or 3 cylinder head bolts and a few bits of wiring and maybe a clutch lever for a Suzuki T500, and that was it. So was it really worth it? Not at all. Is it something I'll ever forget? No, I'll always remember that, and especially the adrenaline when we found out that Jake was in the caravan, because if he'd woke up, all hell would have broke loose. But that is a true story, and I just thought I'd share it. I'll watch my subscriber count. I'm not quite sure how this one's going to go down, but count it as a story, confession, whatever you like. It really happened. All sorts of things happened back in those days, and that's just one of my slightly off-topic motorcycling adventures that I thought I would share. So there we go. That's the story of the caravan window.